The genius Benjamin Franklin. Who was Benjamin Franklin? Benjamin Franklin is one of the most famous Americans. He was born in Boston in 1706. When he grew up, he became a scientist, inventor, writer, and politician. He helped the United States become an independent country, and he invented many things that people still use today. Swimming paddles, 1717. Benjamin Franklin was only 11 years old when he invented swimming paddles. They were pieces of wood that he attached to his hands. He recorded in his diary that they helped him to swim faster, but they made his wrists tired. Nowadays, you can see people using very similar paddles. Now they are made out of plastic, though. The first lending library, 1731. When Benjamin Franklin was 25, he lived in Pennsylvania. He loved reading, but books were very expensive. Franklin started a club, and the members borrowed books from each other. They started storing all the books in one place, but they could take them home to read. This was the first lending library. The Franklin stove, 1741. In the 18th century, people heated their homes by burning wood or coal. This was smelly and expensive. Benjamin Franklin had an idea for a more efficient stove. It had a panel at the front so more air could get in. Franklin didn't want to make money from his ideas. He thought ideas that help humanity should be free. Lightning rod, 1750. Believe it or not, in the mid-18th century, people still didn't know that lightning was electricity. Benjamin Franklin was sure it was, and he wanted to prove it. At the same time, he wanted to protect buildings and people. So, he invented the first lightning rod. This was a piece of metal about 3 meters long to send lightning into the ground. Franklin did his famous kite experiment 2 years later. The Glass Armonica, 1761. Benjamin Franklin loved music, and he even designed his own musical instrument. It was made of glass bowls, and he called it the armonica, after the Italian word for harmony. Franklin was a talented musician, and the glass armonica very popular. Later, both Mozart and Beethoven wrote pieces of music for it. PostmasterGeneral, 1775. In Benjamin Franklin's day, people often sent 4 or 5 letters to make sure at least one got to its destination. As you can imagine, Franklin didn't like this. In 1775, he became the first ever Postmaster General of the U.S. The U.S. Post Office officially started in 1792, 2 years after Franklin's death. Declaration of Independence, 1776. Benjamin Franklin was not only an inventor, he was also a politician. In the 1770s, America and Britain were fighting a war because America wanted to be a free country. Franklin helped to create the Declaration of Independence, which said that the 13 states would be free from British rule. America won the war, of course. Bifocal Glasses, 1784. Benjamin Franklin famously wore bifocal glasses, spectacles that could be used for reading and seeing long distances. But did he invent them? We can't say for sure, but we know that Franklin thought they were useful because he wrote about them in his diary in 1784. The long arm, 1786. As we already know, Benjamin Franklin loved reading books. but sometimes he found it hard to reach the ones on the top shelves. So, of course, he invented a solution. It was called the long arm, and it was quite simple. Just a long pole with a grabbing claw at one end. Nowadays, you might see street sweepers using a long arm to pick up litter. U.S. Constitution 1789. Quote, "We the people affirm that the government of the United States exists to serve its citizens." End quote. This is how the basic law of the United States starts. Benjamin Franklin played a big role in writing the Constitution, and he signed it when he was 81 years old. He died the next year, but the Constitution is still in force almost 2 centuries later. Benjamin Franklin in the 21st century. Today, Benjamin Franklin is remembered as a founding father of the United States. He is a true American hero. If you go to America, you might see his face on a $100 bill, but he is also remembered for all of his wonderful inventions. Many of these inventions are still used today.
The end.